All right, it is 7:00. Welcome back, everyone. Boarding a flight in about 15 minutes, so going to get right into the agenda tonight. Starting at the top, we've got just kind of reviewing the week. Nasdaq and basically all markets closed at record highs on Friday. S&P didn't hit a new high, didn't close at a high. Nasdaq did. Dow kind of lagged, but as always, we don't really pay that much attention to the Dow. It is only just 30 stocks, where the S&P 500 stocks and the Nasdaq are kind of the two mains that we track. August CPI 2.9% year over year, hotter than July at 2.7%. Basically, the good news is that kept the rate cut almost assured. Well, I mean, basically, we knew that. You go back to really the beginning of the Sunday night. I started this. When did I start? February, March. We knew the rate cuts were coming. We knew Powell. You go back to the very first episode. I talked about the fact that Powell had politicized that position. That became very clear, especially after we saw all those bogus jobs numbers a week ago. That was just proof that they were trying to do things around the election. But we've talked about that a ton. But now it's really just up to see what the rate cut is, leaning towards 25 basis points this Wednesday. The real debate's kind of about September. Wouldn't surprise me really to see a jumbo cut more than 25 basis points. That would be the right thing. I mean, at the end of the day, they have catching up to do. So the right thing to do would be, a jumbo cut. Probably won't happen. They'll fight it till September. Unusual, I guess you could call it unusual political pressure on the Fed, but I think that is warranted. You see some of the ethics concerns. Again, the politicization, butchered that Powell games that he's been playing. But anyway, the beautiful thing is we finally have some clarity. We know a rate cut is coming Wednesday. It's just kind of to see how big it is. Rally very strong into the event. So I expect probably things to calm down a little bit post Wednesday. Again, you look at the market, all-time highs just day after day after day after day. That's that idea of the rate cut being priced in. So because of that, wouldn't surprise me to see mania into Wednesday and then Thursday and Friday a little slow. Oh, it's not my gate. Okay, I thought they were calling me. So anyway, that being said, expect a hot market into Wednesday, and then I think maybe Thursday, Friday could be a little slower. But the beautiful thing about penny stocks, the stocks that we trade on a day-to-day basis, penny stocks are disconnected from reality. You look at this week. CWD, QMM, Octo, which remember Octo changed their ticker to Orbs this week, but you can look up the ticker of ORBS and you can see, we literally had several multi-1,000% runners, and one of them was CWD. And that was that one that, I don't often talk about StocksToTrade Elite, but Elite is basically every algo, every AI, every scanner, every tool. Again, a lot of you guys know my background. Started an internet company 2 years out of high school, way back in 1994. Built that company up, sold it, retired to become a full-time trader in 2013. But anyway, I've got a lifelong background in technology. So now what I do a lot of the time is I use my 20 years of trading experience combined with a lifelong of technology experience to develop algos, AIs, scanners. That's why StocksToTrade brought me on board a decade ago, was for that trading and technology experience. But the reason I bring up StocksToTrade Elite is CWD last week hit every single, and this doesn't happen very often, hit every single algo and even all of my artificial intelligence. So it hit Flux, it hit Oracle, hit 2-minute trader, hit the RCT algo, and then the Iris swing trade AI picked it up. So a lot of you guys might have been on that webinar. It was the week before last, okay? Week before last week. And I was like, man, pay attention to CDW or CWD. Sorry. I should remember it's chronic wasting disease. As a deer hunter, I should remember CWD. But anyway, did a couple webinars the week before last. And I'm like, listen, guys, pay attention to CWD because this only happens about once a quarter where one specific stock hits, the day trading penny stock algos, hits the swing trade, hits the morning algo, the midday algo, the afternoon algo, and then pretty crazy, like 3 days later, CWD does what it does. So it's pretty cool. So by aligning all of those, that gives you that idea of confluence, much more confidence. And fortunately, knew about CWD basically a week in advance before that move. But anyway, back to the agenda. The rally very strong into the Wednesday announcement, but again, mentioned things tend to probably calm down. Main stock idea I want you guys to keep an eye on. If you were on the weekend workshop, was anybody on the weekend workshop? Type weekend if you were there, but really enjoyed it all day. Well, all afternoon Friday, and then Saturday. I always really enjoy Saturday because markets close, so it gives more time to, slow down, and was really happy with that. And we spent probably 30 minutes talking about our GTI because that one did that pattern we look for, the afternoon pattern, the VWAP hold high at daybreak. If you guys have been on the channel, I've literally got 10-year-old videos talking about this pattern, and our GTI hit that algo and was really just a great idea, example of what we look for those stocks that have a high likelihood of news in the future, because we talked about that supporting the bid. And, you look at RGTI, gapped up early, quantum computing stock, but then basically you could just see that bid being supported all afternoon and held that stock up. Now, that's never guarantees that there will be news in the future, but, it's that concept of, I talk about everybody always knows, and when everybody knows, the idea is that there's a reason the bid is being supported the way that pattern. So with our GTI, love that one into tomorrow. Now, this is more of a swing trade. This is more of like an Iris idea. Don't expect it to like double in a day. I mean, it's not a penny stock. It's a real company, huge float, huge market cap. But if you are looking for those, multi-day, multi-week, multi-month type swing trades, a lot of you are probably familiar with our GTI. And when I see that pattern, when it hits Flux, man, a lot of the times, those are the ones that drop news Monday, Tuesday morning, and then have that second leg. So some of the other reasons I like it are simply because of news that's already out. Okay, they've got fresh catalysts, Montana State Q-Core launch with Rigetti. That's was August 20th. India Quantum Computing R&D partnership was disclosed by them on September 2nd. Then we also got the tailwind of just the overall sector. Tons of quantum headlines out there, whether it be PSI Quantum, NVIDIA's tie-up, IONQ had a bunch of news. Basically, quantum computing plays are starting to heat up again. It's been a hot sector many times, basically going back to a year ago. I remember doing a webinar from the deer blind. Fortunately, I had good 5G signal, so I remember it would have been gun season, so it would have been November when we had that beginning of that big quantum computing play. We're seeing a lot of that kind of sector heat right now with, whether it be IONQ or PSI Quantum. Obviously, NVIDIA is always in the news. but also like that with this Montana State and India's quantum computing partnership with them. So really looking for that week open red to green pattern in the morning. A lot of these stocks that tend close strong tend to gap down and then retest. That's our signal that the bulls are still in charge. The other pattern would be simply a repeat of Friday, that VWAP hold pattern. We're looking at that post 2 p.m. into the market close for basically confirmation that, again, the bid's being supported and the bulls are in charge. So red to greens, also orbs, okay, opening range breaks. I mean, I expect this stock to be volatile tomorrow. A lot of you guys trade the orb. It's not a pattern I talk about a ton because, it's not really a penny stock pattern. But when it comes to real stocks, you can trade that orb. But my favorite would be hoping it gaps down, gets news, goes back green for that week open red to green. If there isn't news, I'd expect it to do the VWAP hold, and then we wait for news later in the week to give it further fuel. Now, is a very volatile stock, so as always, have stop losses, but also a lot of analyst upgrades as well. So, back to the watch list, all penny stocks this week. Let me get you guys the link to the watch list. Watch list. So that watch list goes out every Sunday. It's all penny stocks. Main penny stock I would say for tomorrow would be Check. Just love that big. It was a great one from support and resistance levels. After that gap up in after hours, they had news at 5:39 p.m. Dropped that news, gapped up huge, but then consolidated right between 220, 240. We also went over those levels on Saturday. So that was a great example. Check. That was one, between our GTI and the VWAP hold, spent most of the time on that one. But then we also spent probably 20, 25 minutes going over technicals, how to build trade plans, how to do risk management, and how to use the chart to guide you through entries and exits. So that Check, really like that one. That's kind of the top penny stock. But if you hit the watch list, StocksTrade.com/watch list, it's all penny stocks. And just going through. So yeah, I'm boarding in 3 minutes. So last kind of closing thoughts I've got for you guys. Definitely a reaction type week. Now I always say this: we don't anticipate, we react. But with the Fed announcement, I expect a lot of mania up into Wednesday, and then kind of calm after that. But if we get the jumbo rate cut, that's going to throw all that out the window. Okay. If they cut 25 basis points, everything I said earlier stays the same. We get 50, 75, get ready for Thursday and Friday and even Wednesday afternoon. I mean, like if we get a jumbo rate cut on Wednesday, like Wednesday afternoon, bananas, and then Thursday, Friday as well. But as I mentioned, penny stocks never care. Going back to this week, I mean, GCTK on Friday, beautiful. I mean, again, we had all those multi-1,000% runners. So that being said, headed down to Austin. But as always, I'll be live on pre-market prep, 8:30 Eastern. I'll be back up at 4 a.m. Eastern, like every day. So for all of you in the daily income trader system, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a great night, everyone.